Hey Third Corps, welcome to this lovely presentation of how to organize all of your ideas into a tic-tac-toe organizer so that you can become fabulous 7th grade essay writers. Are you guys ready? Okay, I thought I heard a yes. Jada, I especially saw you gritting so much. I know you're so excited. All right, India, make sure you keep your head up. Stay focused up here because I want you to be able to write this just as well as everybody else. All right, you ready, guys? So this is a tic-tac-toe organizer. It's just a really simple way of making sure that all of your ideas get down on paper before you actually have to write the essay. So you write a super organized essay and not one that sounds like a bunch of gibberish on a piece of paper. Okay, so you have your sheet in front of you that looks just like this. Okay, make sure you have written your name and the date at the top of the paper so that you can keep track of what you are learning today. All right, so when we are organizing an essay, we always start with the thesis statement, okay? That's not how we start our essay, but that's how we start to think about organizing the essay, okay? Today we are going to practice with a thesis statement that I am going to provide to you. It's the same thesis statement pretty much that we worked with the weeks before break because we're familiar with that and I know that you guys did a great job on that. So the thesis statement that we are going to use today is the thesis statement. The book Mockingbird provides many examples of how advocating for ourselves, advocating for others, and practicing perseverance can help us reach our goals. So we are all going to write that down in the thesis spot. Get your pencils ready as I start to type. So, the book Mockingbird provides many examples of how advocating for ourselves, advocating for others, and practicing perseverance can help us reach our goals. You should have written that on the lines. I'm going to delete mine since I'm working on a document. And please remember to underline Mockingbird because it is the title of a book. All right, guys, so that is our thesis statement. The cool thing about this thesis statement is that it has 3 subtopics built into it. It's just one sentence with 3 subtopics. I want you to look right now at the thesis statement that we just wrote and figure out where our 3 subtopics are. Hint that there are commas that make it very easy to see them. Okay? So we are going to focus on the 3 subtopics. If you found them, good for you. I'm going to show them to you so that you have no questions about it. Okay? So we're talking about how the book shows how certain things can help us reach our goals. That is one thing that the book teaches us. And the book teaches us 3 ways that we can reach our goals. Okay? Advocating for ourselves. Go ahead and underline that. Advocating for others and practice advocating for others. This one didn't underline. Let me do that. And practicing perseverance. Those are our 3 subtopics. Guess what, guys? Those become our 3 arguments for our thesis statement. They're the 3 things that we are going to focus on in this essay to prove that Mockingbird shows that these 3 things help us reach our goals. That was one of the lessons from the book. So everybody look at this A1 box. That is the box for your first argument. Because this is brainstorming, which means we're not writing the whole essay yet, it is okay to write incomplete sentences. I know. Some of you are thinking, oh gosh, I would just love to write complete sentences all the time. But today, you are just going to write phrases. Some complete sentences, but some phrases. So argument 1, guys, goes with our first subtopic. So argument 1 is that the book shows advocating for ourselves equals goals. Helps us reach our goals. That is our first argument. All right, turn to your partner really quickly and talk about what our second argument is going to be. What are we going to write in this second argument box? Take 30 seconds. Please talk to your partner. It is very obvious what it is, but I want you to speak it to each other. So 30 seconds, decide what you're going to write in that second box. Go. Okay, bring it back to me. There we go. If you and your partner decided that we are going to argue that advocating for others helps us, with our goals, you are correct. If you had something written down or did not get it written down, please record it right now. So we have advocating for ourselves helps us with our goals, advocating for others helps us reach our goals and helps others reach their goals. And then we also have practicing perseverance. I'm just going to give you the last one. So again, all of these things help people reach their personal goals. Okay? And we are going to deal with the counter argument, this part, later on. We're going to start, just like any good brainstorming, thinking about what are the reasons that we have, the arguments that we have for our theme, what are the reasons, and then what's our evidence in the book. Okay, so we're going to pop back to argument 1, and we're going to start to brainstorm 3 different ways that the book shows when people advocate for themselves, they can reach their goals. Okay? So we talked about this before the break. I hope that your brain is working, and I'm sorry I can't be there to call on people. The more your brain works today, though, the easier it will be tomorrow when you have to do this on your own thesis statement. So please keep that in mind, that everything that you're working on today, you'll be practicing tomorrow on your own. So make sure that you're paying attention fully. Okay, so example number 1, guys, when we use textual evidence, we always need to have a page number. So please be prepared to understand that we will need page numbers. Okay? Now, because today is kind of a funky day, and I'm teaching you this lesson without actually being there, I might not get to the page number part, but we're still going to write parentheses to remind ourselves that we need to put page numbers. Okay, so think about, okay, when did people advocate for themselves? When did they stand up for themselves? The first person that I think of is Caitlin, of course. She does a lot of self-advocacy. And one example I have is when Caitlin does a project on the heart so that she can know more about herself. Okay? Does she eventually learn a lot about herself and closure and empathy and all that good stuff? Absolutely. And when she first does that project on the heart, that was her first way of starting to advocate for herself, that she needed to do that in order to reach a goal. Okay? Now again, I put a blank parenthesis, but tomorrow when you do this for your actual thesis statement, remember you always need page numbers or the evidence doesn't count. And if you need to be reminded of that, you can always look at Beyonce's awesome essay on Wonder, where she included the page numbers every time she quoted something or paraphrased it. All right, so I'm looking at, I always need 3 pieces of evidence, so I'm thinking about another way that the book shows somebody advocating for themselves and helping themselves towards a goal, him or herself towards a goal. Okay. How about Josh? Remember, Josh is the cousin of the school shooter. And Caitlin thinks he's evil, and quite frankly, a lot of kids do, and he's acting pretty mean. There's a point in the book, however, where Josh is like, I am not evil, and he kind of has a breakdown. He is advocating for himself that he is not his cousin. And then eventually, at the end of the book, he becomes more of a part of the classroom or of the school where they are. So is that reaching his goal? It's a bit of a stretch, but I think it's a good example. So let's write that one down. Josh lets people know that he is different from his cousin. And again, the next step would be to find the page number where he talks about that. All right. Guys, we're going to move on to the second argument just because we're going to run out of time shortly. I can only make this recording 15 minutes long, so lucky you. So we're going to move on to the second argument. Now, what this means is when this recording is over, you are going to come up with your third example for each of these arguments on your own. So make sure you're paying attention to how I'm doing this. All right, second argument, advocating for others helps us with our goals. So when we advocate for other people can reach their goals too. How cool is that? All right, so who advocates for people in this book? The first person that comes to my mind is Emma. Who is Emma? You are so on top of it. I'm sure you all just shouted out that Emma is the girl at school who stands up for Caitlin, right? Okay. So remember how Emma stands up for Caitlin? She invites her to be a part of the group. So I'm going to put that Emma stands up for Caitlin and helps Caitlin, find friends. Okay, that was one of Caitlin's goals, right? To have friendship. So Emma advocates for Caitlin. She stands up for her, says that she can be a good group mate, and then Caitlin ends up finding friends. That's a cool goal that she had. All right. Another character that maybe stood up for someone else. Let's see. Who did Caitlin advocate for? Who did Caitlin advocate for the most? If you just thought to yourself or said her father, that is one person. There are a bunch of people she advocates for. For this example, I'm just going to go with her father. So again, let's think. What did Caitlin do for her father? She advocated for him to help him find what? Remember that word that starts with a C? Closure. Okay, so Caitlin, let's write this down. Caitlin advocated for her father to Mrs. Brooke. Remember she asked if he could see her in order to help him find closure. And again, we would need a page number to make this complete. Okay, so at the end of class, you're going to find one more example to complete this tic-tac-toe organizer. Okay, so we have our third argument that practicing perseverance helps people reach their goals. Now, if I were in class with you, I would have you define perseverance for me. I know that a lot of you know what it means, but I want to make sure that you understand. So perseverance is the ability to push through a hard time and come out on top. Okay? So let's see, who are some people that really practice perseverance? Well, of course, Caitlin does, but let's think of a specific example when Caitlin was practicing perseverance. So we have to think about times when she didn't give up. Remember how the whole book she spent trying to get it, quote unquote. She was trying to understand other people. And she continued to talk to Mrs. Brooke and ask friends and ask her father and think about Devin. That was perseverance. So let's say that Caitlin keeps working to get it throughout the book and eventually better understands people, because that's what getting it means. And we'd need a page number too. And because time is almost up, I'm going to end it here. I'm going to show you the counter argument, and then you are going to spend the rest of the class period and or homework, if you don't finish it in class, completing the rest of this chart. Remember, the E's stand for evidence. So those are what you have to fill in, evidence from the book. And we're not doing page numbers right now, but you should be able to come up with an example. All right, so the counter argument, guys. The counter argument is the argument that goes against yours. We said that the book shows that advocating for ourselves and others helps us reach our personal goals. Okay? Someone might argue that people can reach their goals without advocacy or help from others. Find some examples in the book that might support that counter argument, and it's time to go. So I'll talk to you guys later.